So I have the opportunity to go up first, as it were, to bat, and just share a little reflection on this week's theme. For those of you who don't know, it's part of a 4-part series introducing the basic principles of the science of mind and spirit. And each of these 4 weeks has been entitled something that is the title of a section of the introduction of our textbook. So this was originally written in 1926 and then in 38, and we're working from the latter. This week we're talking about how it works. This is when we put it all together. We've been spending a lot of time talking about the creative power of our thought and the relationship between what we think and what we feel and what we focus on and what we put out there and what comes back to us. And of course, so many of us have had the privilege of hearing a great deal more about that over more recent years, because studying this sort of thing has become quite commonplace. So what I'd like to share is a little bit, hang on one second, from Ernest Holmes. There's a line in this section of the teaching that sounds like a homework assignment many of us have gotten many times, and one that is probably working for us to the degree that we are applying it. It goes like this: the one who wishes scientifically to work out his problems must daily take time to meditate and to mentally treat the condition, no matter what the apparent contradictions may be. There is a very common admonition that we've heard over the years that says, don't just do something. Excuse me, that's the other one. Don't just sit there, do something. That's the old-fashioned waving of the finger. Don't just sit there, do something. And there is a cultural impulse that when things are going on that need our attention, that we should get busier, that we should do more, that we should think harder and try harder. And by so doing, we're going to resolve whatever it is. And the funny thing is that actually there was a little book on meditation written in the 80s that's called "Don't Just Do Something, Sit There." And it spoke of the value. It spoke of the value of taking the time to be still and know. And the funny thing about this is that what we often do is we want to do something about what's going on, and we really do believe that more activity, more thinking, more efforting is going to bring out a better result. And the opposite of that is true. I think that there was something written about how Einstein or another great thinker said that really you should spend most of your time in a crisis situation reflecting very carefully on what you're going to do, and then the least amount of time executing that. And so this is a similar concept that for example, if we are reacting to and concerned about situations and circumstances in our lives, something that's going on out there, what we learn in here is that by adjusting our thinking, we adjust what goes on out there. Because the truth is that those situations and circumstances are not happening to us. They're happening through us. And so if what is going on in our lives is not to our liking, and we begin to understand that it's happening through us rather than to us, we might want to sit down for a moment and consider what we're thinking, what we're focusing on, what we're believing, as we begin to discover the relationship between that and what's going on out there. And then what happens is we're able to master what we focus on, master what we think about, master what we call into our situations, our circumstances, and what shows up as our lives. And this is a short thing to say, and it can be a lifetime study. And yet what happens when we really know the relationship between our thinking and our believing and our circumstances, when we get that those activate the law of cause and effect and call things into reality, if you will, into form, into arrangements with one another, as we get that, we have a power in our hands that has no limit. And one way to really get that is to sit down and study it. One way to really get that is then to meditate and reflect upon it. And one way to get that is to, and this is referred to as mental treatment, is to introduce these ideas of truth into our thinking until they just naturally displace and dissolve and wash away anything that's not true. Ernest Holmes says there is no process of healing. There is a process in healing, and that's precisely how much time it takes for us to get that what we think and what we believe calls into form what happens through us and around us. So when we know that, we have that power in our hands. When we know that, we have everything. So this idea is that instead of getting busy and getting out there to do more, instead of that, to sit and reflect on the truth, will actually shorten the amount of time that it takes for us to heal. It'll shorten the amount of time that it takes for us to manifest or demonstrate. Those are very popular terms around here. It will shorten the amount of time between having a flash, an idea of some sort, and experiencing it. And what that really means is that contrary to what we may have been told and what we may have learned by witnessing life around us, it's not necessary for there to be a long process with anything. It's not necessary that there be a struggle. It's not necessary that there be difficulty. It's up to us. And yet those ideas may be a lot to take in after a lifetime of thinking another way. So the value of sitting still and really not doing nothing, you're doing something so powerful and so important. But to sit still and to reflect on the truth of your being and open up to more of it and to take it in so that it's what flows through your mind like your blood flows through your veins. It's just a natural part of you. Then that understanding will become the law in your life. That understanding will govern what happens for you. So I'm going to stop right there and move us into a song and an affirmative prayer, and then turn it over to Jack. I'm looking so forward to hearing what he has to share with us. As you get this, I would love for you to sing with me. Because Spirit has made us out of itself, and it is beauty. Spirit has made us out of itself, and it is power, and so much more. And so what I know for each of us, as we move through this day, as we take this all in, as we remember and recognize who we truly are, I know that it up-levels and shifts our lives, expands our consciousness, and allows greater experiences in for each of us. And it moves with us as we move throughout this day and out that door, bringing greater and greater good all around. And so it is. Just one more time.
Celebrate who I've become. I am beautiful.